Hi, it's Michael from DNA here, and in the next few minutes you're going to learn how to creatively use colour and highlighting in Sonocent Audionotetaker. Now, when I'm doing one-to-one sessions with students, I talk a lot about using colour because categorising themes or ideas using highlights are a really clever way of managing complex information. And students that I've worked with in relation to specific learning differences such as dyslexia or dyspraxia have found this technique really useful, especially the ones that are visual learners, because by using colour to categorise audio in your lecture recording, it's much easier to find the part that you want to listen to without having to listen back to sections again and again to find it. So here we are in Audionotetaker, in the audio note that we've been working on over the last few videos, and we're going to go ahead and add some highlights now. Now, if I click on these blue bars, the controls on the right hand side of the screen change, and you'll notice that we've got these different colors that we can use going down the right hand side of the screen. Now I could simply click on one of those and you'll notice it changes the color of the section that you're working on. It's worth having a look at this box at the top of the screen. At the moment that is blank, but if you click on this, there's a number of templates, suggestions for what these colors actually mean. So if I click on lecture, it's got red as important, blue as follow up, grey as don't understand, and so on and so on. However, we're going to go ahead and imagine that we're working through our lecture, and we're going to use some keyboard shortcuts to do highlighting. So it's the same as if you went and clicked on the highlights on the right hand side of the screen, but by using a keyboard shortcut, it's just a little bit speedier. But just before that, I want to show you a different keyboard shortcut for controlling the audio, which is Control and Space. And just to demonstrate how this works, if I type a note, you'll see that there are spaces in between my words, as you'd expect, because I've been using the space bar. But if you use Control and Space on the keyboard, it's actually going to control this other cursor, which shows you whereabouts your lecture audio is going to play from. So that means that you can keep on typing your notes and using the space bar as normal to separate words, but if you do Control and Space, it'll start and stop the audio. So for instance, I could do Control and Space.
They're called Inspiration. Now, Inspiration is a mind mapping software package. There are a number of different mind mapping software packages on the market. This one has been very popular in recent years.
And now it's going a bit too fast for me and I want to finish up my notes. So I've done Control and Space again to stop the audio. Now, in relation to highlighting, you can use a keyboard shortcut which is Control and any of the numbers at the top of your keyboard. So if I use Control and Space to start the audio,
as it has quite a simplified interface, which is quite useful for people who are just starting out with mind mapping. So let's investigate some of the key features. First of all, when loading Inspiration, you need to think about,
and so on and so forth. Control and the numbers going across the top of the keyboard. So this really speeds up your process. As you're listening through, you can be typing, and you can also be using the keyboard shortcut to add highlights while it's playing back. Now you'll notice this only highlights that particular section of audio. So if you wanted to highlight this whole section, you could select it and then choose a highlight from the right hand side of the screen. I think this is a really powerful way of making sense of long and complex lectures, because rather than concentrating on reading back notes, we've got some notes to support us, but we're also concentrating on listening to audio and making decisions about what the key points in the lecture are, so that when you come back and revise from it later on, you've got a much easier way back into that lecture. Now, that's not all that Audionotetaker does. Assuming that you've been through your lecture and added in these colors into your audio, there's also this control here, organize using color. Now I think this is really quite powerful. We're going to look at just one of the tools in here, and that is extract audio. Now what this does is gives you an opportunity to create a brand new lecture just based on the points that you've highlighted. So let's say you now just want to have a mini lecture based entirely around the things that you've highlighted as important. So I'm going to untick the other highlights that I've used and click on OK, and what we should see is that a new tab has opened at the top of the screen. And this is a brand new audio note. It's a brand new version of your lecture containing just the items that you highlighted in red in the previous step. Similarly, you can use these other colours on the right hand side, and as far as shortcuts are concerned, those are still control and numbers at the top of the keyboard, but when you get to 6 you start to see section colours highlighted instead. And within the Organise Using Colour menu, you've got an option to also extract sections. So these highlighted slides could be extracted instead if you preferred that as a way of categorizing elements of your lecture. And if I hop back into the new lecture that has been created by using this Organise Using Colour tool, this is a lecture that you could save with a different name and it would be totally different, totally separate from the other lecture that you've made. So if you just wanted to revise important points that you had marked the first time you listened to your lecture, you've got an easy way of creating a lecture based on what you have chosen as important